Welcome to episode number 192 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We are recording live on YouTube on June. Why did I say January? I said that last episode. June 23, 2017. Bunch of topics to tackle this week. This is the Trump-free edition of the Beyond Social Media Show.
Yay.
Mostly. BS on Goop is one of our stories. Amazon acquires beefy new Ken dolls, Smirnoff swipes, AI for kids, Buggy at BuzzFeed, troll cakes, spectacle swim, algorithmic responsibility, and man trampled by cow.
And lives?
Well, you'll need to wait to find out. We start off with the best story of the week, and BL has the honors. BL, what was the best story of this past week?
Well, there were actually a lot of good stories, but this one tickles me because NASA called bullshit on Goop, because Goop had a $120 biofrequency healing sticker, and what they said was that these body vibes were made of NASA suit material to rebalance the energy frequency in our bodies. And as Ray Paoletta, who wrote the story, noted, whatever the fuck that means. So the Goop website said, human bodies operate at an ideal energetic frequency, but everyday stresses and anxiety can throw off our internal balance, depleting our energy reserves and weakening our immune systems. Body Vibe stickers come pre-programmed to an ideal frequency, allowing them to target imbalances. While you're wearing them close to your heart on your left shoulder or arm, they'll fill in the deficiencies in your reserves, blah, blah, blah. So these sentences sound exactly like if you threw Enya lyrics into a blender. And so then what representatives from NASA told Gizmodo, they said, these do not have any conductive carbon materials lining the spacesuits. Spacesuits are made of synthetic polymers, spandex, and other materials that serve a purpose beyond making their wearer look like a resident of Nightmare Coachella. And so then he said, wow, what a load of BS this is. Anyway, he said no way that the lining of spacesuits would monitor vital signs. And so later that day, Goop pulled the claim from their website, and they said, we constantly strive to improve our site for our readers. We're continuing to improve our processes for evaluating the products. Based on the statement from NASA, we've gone back to the company to inquire about the claim. Duh.
Damn scientists pointing out absurd marketing claims. Leave it to the scientists.
Scientists?
NASA's full of scientists.
No, NASA makes, NASA was the reality check.
That's what I was saying.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. So, Amazon, big news this past week for Amazon. They have had grocery ambitions. We've known that for a while because they've had some experiments. They're doing grocery delivery service. They've got a grocery delivery service called Amazon Fresh that I can't get yet. They have the self-serve store, the Amazon Go store that they demoed or had a video about anyway. But this comes from a Forbes article by Bruno Aziza, and Amazon, everybody reported this, but Amazon announced its intentions to purchase Whole Foods for a whopping $13.7 billion in cash. Whole Foods has higher margins than Amazon's retail business. They have 5% versus Amazon's 3%, and they have 460 locations that are highly localized. With Walmart's acquisition of Jet e-commerce starting to pay off, this does appear to be a response to competing against the traditional retail giant. So in Walmart's fourth quarter and year-end earnings report, they reported online sales increased 29% in the U.S. and 15.5% globally. This is according to Nat Levy of GeekWire. Walmart beat Amazon to the drive-up grocery market with its service Pickup Today, which grew 27% over the holiday season compared to 2015. The Whole Foods locations, though, accomplished several things for Amazon. They get a quality grocery brand. They get they have the ability now with those 460 locations for same-day delivery of fresh groceries, right? Think of them not only as grocery stores but as delivery centers, right? So the logistics, the supply chain gets a lot quicker for Amazon for groceries. They get local food. And if you think about it, not only is it competition against Walmart, but they preempt the Blue Aprons of the world. So the biggest cost for Blue Apron is for their meals is the shipping. With Whole Foods, Amazon can package local fresh ingredients for meal kits quicker and at a lower cost than Blue Apron. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get into that business as well.
Well, Amazon already has Amazon Fresh that they deliver in New York, where they'll go to any store for you and bring it to you.
Wow.
But Amazon did something, I have this in bad, but since we're talking about Amazon, they also, according to Mashable, Patrick Culp, they filed a patent to prevent showrooming in their brick and mortar stores.
Saw that.
So, I mean, so what that means is that if you're using their Wi-Fi, I mean, you don't have to use their Wi-Fi, but if you're in the building, you probably will. And so they would prevent you from doing comparison shopping while you're in their store. And the system would intercept URLs, search terms, and other web activity. And so that's right. The very brand that helped coin the term showrooming objects to it in their own stores. And it had the Orwellian title, Physical Store Online Shopping Control. So it goes on to explain that it could be potentially used to send you a digital coupon to cover the price difference between a product. But, get this. Amazon's looking over your shoulder while you're on your phone and shopping. And the idea of them looking over your shoulder is not something that's just a little disconcerting, don't you think?
No, not really. I mean, somebody's looking over your shoulder. It's just a matter of who is it. So if it's not Amazon, somebody else.
Yeah, but you're going to prevent me from looking at the price in the store across the street? I don't think so.
Well, please. The traditional retailers, brick and mortar retailers, tried to do stuff like this, when showrooming was an issue. So I mean, it's nothing new. The brand name has changed.
Yeah, well, it just seems to me everything is up for sale right now. And you wonder, how is this going to affect other grocery stores? How's this going to affect the Stu Leonard's of the world, the Trader Joe's, any traditional grocery store? How are they going to fit into this? And apparently grocery stocks went down considerably after this announcement. So I think the industry's a little worried.
Well, industries are being disrupted, and if Amazon enters your industry, you should be scared. So, yeah,
right. As big as they are,
right?
Yeah. Well, they and Facebook going for total world domination.
Yeah. So here's a fun story from Mashable. Nicole Gallucci is the reporter. Smirnoff Vodka is running poster ads at train stations that read "Made in America." But we'd be happy to talk about our ties with Russia under oath. And so I wonder if the ads are a little more strategic than a simple swipe at Donald Trump. I'm kind of thinking no wonder the brand is doing a brand with such an obvious Russian sounding name as Smirnov might be losing sales due to the current political environment. So I'm wondering if they're kind of feeling like they have to define themselves by who they are not or who they're against. But Smirnoff was founded in 1864, this article points out, by Pyotr Arsenievich Smirnov, a famous Russian vodka maker in Moscow, but is now owned by Diageo, which is a British spirits company, so it's not even an American company.
Who also this week, who knew this? George Clooney apparently was a partner in a beer company that Diageo bought. He sold it for $1 billion. We're in the wrong business, Dave, I swear. So you have spectacles, and you've told us that you like them. And then Royal Caribbean this week is taking spectacles underwater. And this is from a marketing dive story by David Kirkpatrick. And what they're doing is they're pairing spectacles with specially designed scuba masks that are called Sea Seekers. And they bring immersive video underwater, and they broadcast them to a branded Snapchat channel. And the initial experience will be based on 3 dives that are happening right now between June 21st and 25th. And a marine wildlife photographer and conservationist is going to lead the first dive. And they're filming the annual migration of whale sharks in Cozumel, Mexico. And then they're going to film a coral reef restoration project. And they're going to visit the Great Blue Hole, an underwater sinkhole in Belize. And Snapchat was chosen because it's a popular channel for curious travelers. And Royal Caribbean has applied for a patent so that the Sea Seekers mask will only be for their guests. Isn't that cool?
Ah, yeah, that's very cool. It's very clever too. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another fun story. This is from NPR by Noor Wazwaz. There's a New York City baker named Kat Feck, who is the founder of a company called Troll Cakes. And Troll Cakes is a baker and a detective agency. So customers go to Troll Cakes site to submit the comment from a troll that a comment from a troll they've received and the address of the troll in question. And then Feck will bake a cake, write the comment on it using frosting or fondant letters. I assume that's those confectionery letters. Wrap it up in festive confetti and send it to the perpetrator. There's a quote from her in the article that says, when you open it up, the box looks like 100% good news. And then you see a screen grab of your comment and it says, congratulations, your internet comment has been made into a troll cake.
I love that.
So if you don't know the address of your troll, she's got it covered. That's where the detective agency part comes in. She will do the investigation for you. She'll search for the troll's address and send it to his or her home or workplace. Ideally, workplace, right?
That's hilarious. What was that show on PBS, The Fabulous Ladies Detective Agency? It was in Africa.
It was an HBO show.
HBO, yeah. What was that called? It was based on a book. Anyway, yeah. I love that it's a bakery and detective agency. That's hilarious.
So one troll cake said, I have never seen a thin person drinking Diet Coke. That sounds like a typical troll. Another one, I don't know who this is, said nut job.
Oh, we do know who said the first one, but this is a Donald Trump free version of.
I said I didn't know who it was.
So, okay, this week there is a big announcement from Mattel. They've updated Ken dolls, and now there's like a relaunch, and there's I think 10 new ones, and now Ken has cornrows, he's skinny, he's Asian, sometimes he's even kind of chubby. Katie Weaver from GQ went deep into the Valley and Design Center of the Dolls to get an exclusive look at Mattel's new take on the all-American male. So there's a beefy Asian man with 20/40 vision who frequently works out of doors. He wears glasses. There's a young record executive who expresses himself through bold sneaker attire.
Does he have white stuff on his nose?
No, but he's simultaneously an African-American man of average build. And then there's another one who's bleached his hair peroxide blonde and is now determined to travel on an airplane. There's one with a man bun, and that's his whole thing. He doesn't have anything else going on. And but, you know, this is really weird. She points out Ken, all the Kens, Ken, and Ken, are all dating the same woman. So Ken's the first man, or technically eunuch, that many little girls are ever going to see nude. So he teaches young ladies that men are meant to have bodies like Olympic water polo players. But now it's going to be different. You know, Barbie's, dream house is a one-woman mega mansion. And so it's very important for Ken to be more realistic. And so, over time, he's been depicted as a rapping rocker. That was Rappin' Rockin' Ken, a doctor, Dr. Ken, a sovereign of the Crystal Caves, king of the Crystal Caves, Ken, and what he's reduced to, someone who uses the toilet in a mysterious way. Apparently they have toilets for Ken dolls or something. So Mike Murphy, who's a tech reporter at Quartz, said the new Ken doll looks like the kind of guys that ruin the neighborhood when they move in. I mean, the one with the man bun. Man buns are over. Hello.
Apparently not. I mean,
Yeah, well, they are.
Yeah, well, not. Yeah, I just a lot of those Ken dolls. I wonder how in the world, in what Barbie world do they appear with a Barbie who lives in a mega mansion?
Well, I don't know. You know, I mean, the Ken doll who
the record executive, I can see. Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
really, but you know,
just the man bun guy who's that's all he's got going for him. Yeah, really.
You know, so now the question is, will they sell? And you know, there's all these Barbies. I mean, there's gazillions of Barbies. There's Dr. Barbie and Executive Barbie, and you know, and they made more realistic Barbie bodies, and they made tall ones and short ones, and you know, do kids want to play with them? I don't know.
The open question. We'll find out, I guess. Right?
Really?
Report back. Are we done with the good stuff?
No, I have another one.
Okay.
This is I like this one a lot. Storyweaver is an Indian company that is using Google's massive AI to expand children's book translations worldwide. This is from a Recode story by Shannon Farley. And so Google's AI-powered Google Translate is helping India's Storyweaver, which is owned by Pratham Books, to expand the number of children's ebooks available in various languages. So it's a platform that connects readers, authors, illustrators, and translators to create books. And thanks to Google and AI, all the titles can be easily translated into absolutely any language. So they host stories and give access to thousands of children's books, and you can print them, translate them, even sell them. They won Storyweaver won a Google Impact Award, and then through the integration of Google Translate, Storyweaver has expanded its library to 200,000 titles in 60 languages, aiming for 500,000 users worldwide. But the really cool thing is you can also create your own story, because they make 2,000 really great images available, and they make it super easy to write your words, pick your illustrations, choose templates, and publish your own story literally in minutes. But what's really exciting is all the stories and illustrations are available under Creative Commons open licenses. So people can use, share, build upon what's there, and all the tools and all the formatting and all the artwork totally free.
Wow, that's very cool.
And I found that in a story about how nonprofits, rather than Silicon Valley startups, are really the ones who are creating AI apps for the greater good. And this is a great example. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, very cool, very cool. And that kind of stuff is underreported too, as you know. Yeah. All right, bad stuff now. Can I complain?
Yes, go ahead, complain. Go ahead, David bitch.
this is kind of, this actually could be in good stuff as well, but it's in bad stuff because it has yet to come to fruition. This is based on a court story by Catherine Ellen Foley. Ben Schneiderman is a computer scientist from the University of Maryland, and he thinks that the risks from algorithms are big enough that it's time for the government to get involved.
I hate that.
You hate that?
Yeah.
Okay, listen on. In a lecture on May 30 to the Alan Turing Institute in London, he called for the creation of a national algorithmic safety board that would be similar to the US's National Transportation Safety Board for vehicles. This organization would provide ongoing and retroactive oversight of high-stakes algorithms. Algorithms have made mistakes. They can make mistakes. They're not always perfect. And when they do, it can be extremely hard to figure out why. The example the article cites is the autopilot failure that brought down Air France Flight 447 in 2009. So obviously that's a life and death situation, right? Increasingly, algorithms are writing themselves Two, through the process of machine learning, so they kind of have their black box program that doesn't does the task that no human can make sense of, and then can therefore act unpredictably. So such algorithms, when they go awry, can encounter a situation that's markedly different from the data they were trained on. So again, garbage in, garbage out, right? His proposed National Algorithmic Safety Board would provide an independent third party to review and disclose just how these programs work. It would also investigate algorithmic failures and inform the public about them, like bank regulators do for bank failures, or transportation watchdogs do for major accidents. And I just think we need to really think about this super intelligence that's coming along, and provide a way into insight into how they work. So that when this comes along, I mean, we've got sentencing algorithms that could be biased because they've been fed data on a certain section of society that's just inaccurate. So we really do need something like this, and I think it's a great idea.
Well, it smacks of government intervention to me, but this week both Google and Facebook took steps to talk about how they're going to combat terrorism online and what their responsibilities are in that regard. And they're both taking all of this very, very seriously. And in Facebook's case, I think that's taken quite a while. But also this week, Facebook changed, Mark Zuckerberg changed Facebook's purpose from being a social network to being a place to create social change and do good in the world. So we'll have to see how that goes. But it's on a much different note. Unfortunately, this week, this story came from both Pointer and Muckrack. Unfortunately, this week, the folks at BuzzFeed had to work from home on Thursday because a bedbug infestation was discovered. I was at a meeting there a month or so ago. I don't remember feeling particularly itchy. But also earlier, a swarm of bees came to Vox Media. And the explanation for the bees was they got the New York City bee guru to come, and he came to the rescue and moved the bees because they were like in front of the building and nobody could come in or go out. And he said, like all of us, they were probably looking for a new home. But now bedbugs have taken up residence at BuzzFeed, and I kind of thought that particular scourge was over in New York, but because it happened when I worked at Burson Marsteller, we had bedbugs, and that was a really nasty thing that did not get solved in one day. And they had the dog come in and the whole thing. You know, there's a beagle that I forget what his name is, like Buggy or something, and he comes in and he finds the bedbugs. But on the bright side, Lisa Tosi, who's an editor there, she said, well, we're not stuck on a subway train, because about a week before this, there were a bunch of poor people who were stuck for like 3 hours on a sweaty, dark F train, and it was so steamy that you know, the place steamed up and people were writing on the windows. So she said, well, it could be worse. We could have been on the F train. And then senior producer at CNN, Brian Reese, he offered, well, my thoughts are with my friends at BuzzFeed during these dark hours. So they got a letter that said, from Dear BuzzFeeders, please be advised that bedbugs have been detected at BuzzFeed headquarters on 18th Street. We're acting out of an abundance of caution, asking you to work at home from tomorrow to give facilities the chance to deal with this in the fastest and environmentally safest manner. Fumigation will take place as soon as possible. The office will be open until 11 a.m. so you could get your stuff out, but why would you want your stuff to go home if they had bed bugs? But anyway, please don't bring home items that are currently on the floor in the office. If you don't need anything from the office, stay home. We want to make you aware of the signs, so consult the information on bed bugs that we're providing. I mean, what a horror. And they thought they'd be back on Friday. I don't actually know if they got there.
Yeah, I don't. I just, it must be a cultural difference. But New York, between New York and Minnesota, we don't have beds in offices. I don't understand. You know what the need is.
Bedbugs are a different thing than that. Bedbugs have been around since medieval times. Don't let the bedbugs bite. And apparently we had this big scourge of them in New York 5 years ago, and I thought that had kind of passed.
Yeah. I think we just have a stronger work ethic in the Midwest. We're not sleeping on the job. It's just, you know.
We used to come in the morning, put our stuff in plastic bags. I mean, it was horrible.
So you have the risk of bed bugs in New York City. You've got the risk of swarms of bees flooding high rises for some strange reason. But we have a different problem in the Midwest. We have cows, and cows.
Cows.
I know that you like cows. I know that you're a bovine
maniac.
Maniac, yeah. Well, you might think differently after this story. This is from a Star Tribune article by Kim Odie. There's a guy named Chris Klein who has a popular Instagram account, has 102,000 followers at Christopher Klein. Those followers likely shocked when they saw an Instagram photo of him bruised and battered in a hospital in a neck brace with the IVs. So Chris Klein has made his Instagram celebrity up on his based on his dog Juji, who is a doodle that is the star of his Instagram account. And Klein is a graphic designer, and he's achieved this following by creating clever photoshops of him and his golden doodle Juji as a 7-foot tall companion. They appear together to cling to the Empire State Building. They go canoeing together. They cuddled near a farm on their farm near Buffalo, Minnesota. But he's on a farm, and Klein was helping a newborn calf when its mother grew upset and trampled him. Here's a quote from the story. For what seemed an eternity, 1,200 pounds of cow stomped me into the ground. I can honestly say that this was the single most terrifying experience of my life. His partner, Christine Faglery, and a neighbor were there to help him escape. But yeah, apparently cows can be pretty mean.
Well, they're pretty big, 1,200 pounds. I mean, you don't want to mess with them.
Right.
Oh my God, that's horrible. And the bruises look awful. He didn't break any bones, though, I read.
Yeah, well, good for him. But yeah, it does look awful. But when I saw that headline, Instagram influencer trampled by cow, I just gave, oh God, I gotta talk about that.
Gotta have that on the show for sure. So I had one more bad thing. I had a really bad experience this week with Benny's Food. I get my food from Chewy.com, and I've been doing that for years and years. And I got a bag this week, and I opened it up, and it was moldy. And so I called them up, and the customer service person, the first of many who I spoke to, said, throw it away. And I know better than that. You don't just throw it away. You get the lot number and you take pictures of it so that they can figure out what it is. So I had 2 15-pound bags. They tell me, throw those away. We'll send you new ones. And I said, but if you send them from the same lot, they're going to have the same mold. And sure enough, they sent 2 more bags, and they were from the same lot, and they had the same mold. So now I'm involved with the company that makes the food, and initially they're like, oh, it's not us, we didn't do it. And long story short, now I've been on the phone with everybody involved, and they're checking it out in their laboratory. But I think that the lesson of all of this, from my point of view, is they said to me at the beginning, we haven't had any other complaints. This made me crazy. You don't tell that to a consumer. You say, oh my God, we have to figure out what to do about it, and we'll take care of this immediately. The minute that you say nobody else has complained, you're blaming the consumer. And that's a really bad thing to do. So I just want to say to anybody in customer service anywhere in our listening audience, never say nobody else has complained. Say, oh my God, that's terrible. Let's fix it.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it all works out.
Okay. On to Cool Tools.
And
right.
Facebook has one. Facebook has a grid tool now, because if you have more than 20% text on your images, they may reject your ads. And so the ad won't run, or it'll do it with very little delivery. So now they have this tool that lets you check how much of your image contains text and whether you've gone over the 20% rule, and there's a grid. And if you're in more than 5 boxes on the grid, if your picture or your banner has text in 6 or more boxes, it won't be approved, and it violates the 20% rule. So the other image requirements that they made public. No before and after images, which I think is odd. No images of a person in pain and or distressed. I understand that. No false functionality, that is, and a lot of people do this, a play button on an image so people click on an ad thinking it's a video when actually it's not. That's a no-no, and your ad will get rejected. So this is an interesting one. If you do any type of advertising on Facebook, you want to take a look at this.
Well, it's about time they added that.
Right?
It's like took
Yeah.
So mine is display purposes. And display purposes is oddly named, but it is an Instagram hashtag search engine. You type in the word you are interested in using hashtags for, the content you're interested in using hashtags for, and it spits out. It's like if you ever used Uber Suggest, which we've talked about in past episode. It's a keyword, basically a keyword search engine, but for hashtags for Instagram. So type in food, you get a bunch of different ones. I say foodgasm, yum, eat, food pick, dinner, food picks, lunch, breakfast, etc., etc. So it's got not only a search engine, but also a map, so you can see where those hashtags are used on a map globally. And it's also got a graph with nodes, so it's an interesting visual way of exploring the related search terms for what you've typed in. So I don't know why it's called display purposes. It's a weird name. I suspect it's because they don't want to be found by Instagram, that they're kind of using their API maybe in a way that wasn't allowed. That's kind of my guess. But
well, they're going to find them now.
It's a cool tool, so check it out, and if you want to discover some hashtags for your Instagram posts. So we asked last week for letters from our, we didn't ask for letters, we asked for emails from our listeners, because we don't know anything about you. And so we asked to send us an email at david@bsmediashow.com with who you are, what you're interested in, what you like about the show, what you hate about the show, just so we get to know you a little better. And we had our first response. So this is a new segment called Letters from the Ether. And here's our first response. On the recent pod, Letters from the Ether.
Ether?
Ether? Ethernet? Ethernet?
Ethernet.
It's a cultural difference.
You Midwesterners and your addiction.
On a recent pod you casted, you requested that I tell you some specific things about myself. Who you are. I am Patman. Patman MN. What do you do? Mostly listen to podcasts and also sometimes code in Python and enjoy a nice ravioli ever so often and very rarely other stuff. What do you enjoy about the show? It's a really great place to get updated on news, tips, and tricks, new services, and innovative ways of using existing ones, and key changes in how the big digital companies provide service. I also like your opening guitar and your cool voice intro and outro.
That's on iTunes.
I do wish you recorded it louder, especially the opening, but also the rest of the show. It's always so much quieter than the others I listen to, necessitating lots of hunting for the volume switch. And my Kai Forte's speakers suck, so I can't even listen to it while I'm driving with the window open without a headphone. Oh, the humanity. I might need to stop listening to podcasts other than yours and stop driving too. And then how would I be able to go out for an occasional nice ravioli? Also, there's a bit too much political talk. Thus, you've heard us saying the Trump-free zone this week. But
that's an agreement we made with each other last week because we're sick of him too.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I listen to 11 hours a week of crooked media, Slate, Vox, and if I start only listening to Beyond Social Media podcasts because of my stupid Kai Forte speakers, I will need to replace the political news and analysis with your show too. So I may be shooting myself in the foot here writing this, unless you boost the volume, but you may be limiting your audience somewhat by branching out that way. So I figured I'd let you know. Also, I missed the microphone scratching. Can you bring that back?
That went on. Wait, what was the problem? It was banging against your shirt or something?
Yeah, I had a microphone. I had a headset with the microphone, but it also had that, the volume control.
Yeah.
But it had a microphone on the cord itself, and so it was brushing against my shirt. For like many, many episodes, we had this sound of paper shuffling.
We thought that's
figure out what it was. And we finally discovered it was that. So,
well, we'd like to hear from more of you out there in the ether.
we will. We're not bringing back the microphone scratching. Sorry, Patman. I am Patman.
But thanks for writing. We
yes, and send us more. So especially entertaining ones like that. So let's wrap this up. Daily numbers. The future of employment. This is from Visual Capitalist and the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Almost half of today's jobs will likely be done by computers in a decade or two. Not like we didn't know that. But retail salespeople is the most common job today, but it has a 90+% chance of being automated. We have a whole chart that's included in this blog post from Visual Capitalist that lists the types of jobs that are most likely to succumb to automation or algorithms or robot overlords.
Medicine was a surprising one to me. Doctors.
Well, I mean, think about prescribing things. How can a doctor keep track of all the different medicines and their possible interactions with other medicines and anything? I can't imagine they can. I think that's an algorithm thing that would do a better job.
Well, they carry around this little pocket computer now, and they look up medicines and interactions, or some of them do, not all. But I understand that some pharmacies have started something called syncing, where they want to refill all your prescriptions on the same day so that they're sure of what you're taking and what the interactions are. I don't know which pharmacy is doing it. A friend of mine was telling me about it, and that's a really good idea. But yeah, I mean, I think some of the things that are expected to be replaced by robots are not going to be. I think some of the things that people don't necessarily expect will be. It's all a little bit scary if you ask me. So that brings us to the end of episode 192 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And you will find all of our shows on our blog. But first, I'm BL Ochman. And on Twitter, I'm at What's Next. I blog at what'snextblog.com. On YouTube, I'm What's Next Blog. On Google+, I'm plus BL Ochman. David Erickson is at D Erickson on Twitter. He blogs at estrategyblog.com, creativepr.com/blog. And on YouTube, he's eStrategy. And the show is at our website, beyondsocialmediashow.com, where you will find all 192 episodes with the playlists linking to the stories that we've covered and in their original sources and the videos that we discussed. They're all on our blog within a few hours after each show. And you can, if you miss one, you go back and see it. On YouTube, you'll find us at Beyond Social Media Show. On Twitter, we're BS Media Show. On iTunes, we're Beyond Social Media Show. We're also on Stitcher, and we're on iHeartRadio. And we would love for you to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and leave us a review. That would really be great. And we would really love to hear from you. And we will be back next week on Thursday, right, Dave?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
We'll be back on Thursday, the 29th of June, same time, same bat station. And we thank you all so much for watching.
Thanks for watching.